Welcome to BoarderLine with Bernie Neighbors. I'm Jeff McCarriger. We are back from California, and we are back from the beautiful sunny weather. I mean, not a cloud in the sky. And now here you and I both come back to the East Coast, and wham, there's a hurricane right in your face.
Yeah, loving it. I was joking with some friends of mine that I used to hang out with and live with in Charleston. I was like, man, it's fun to be back in an area where I have to watch the Weather Channel. It gets me all jazzed up, man. I like watching those people make way too much out of what's happening, and then you can tell when they're selling it and when they're scared.
Yeah,
like, Cantori's the best at making it into be a cataclysm when there's 2 inches of rain.
Dramatic.
But then you can tell when they get a little scared.
Do you remember probably about let's see, it was pre-COVID. So do you remember maybe 5 years ago or so when Mike Seidel got suspended for a while from the Weather Channel?
What did he do?
He was I want to say he was actually
he
might have been in Wilmington.
And he was making up the story and people were walking down the street.
Well, so he's reporting live. Yeah. I mean, basically, he's reporting live, right, for the Weather Channel. And there's somewhere where the hurricane's coming through and he's like doing this, trying to fend off the storm. It's hard for me to even stand. And as he's doing this, there's like two college kids walking behind. They both stop and they're both looking at him like, what are you doing? And then they just keep on walking again in the background.
Dude, I was watching this morning. I don't know how the producers pick the people, but they get the best people sometime. And I wrote her name down. Her name was Kelsey from Clearwater Beach. And she was just so burnt, man. She was just like, dude, I lost all my cred because I left last time. She's got a shaved head, but she's got her hat tilted. She's got like a float going down the middle of the street because of the storm surge, and just looked like she was having a good time. Just Clearwater Kelsey. Want to hang out with her. She seemed like a good time.
Kelsey from Clearwater. Yeah, I also love it. I also love it when they are reporting on hurricanes from Charleston, and they will go down to the beach and literally have their rain boots on and have 2 feet in the water, because that's what we all do in Charleston, right? As soon as there's a hurricane, we all go to the beach. No, we don't go to the beach. Everyone's at home. And the worst part of it's down at the beach anyway. Man, I live about 9-10 miles from the beach. It's not normally unless it's a direct hit and it's a big, huge storm.
It's a rain event.
It's a rain event. I mean, like right now, you and I were just joking. As soon as I called you, literally, we're starting to get hit by one of these outer rain bands. It's just heavy rain. I mean, there's literally rain pouring off my neighbor's roof right now.
You still got a couple hours till you get the storm, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the eye wall kind of passes to our south and east. When you get on that east side, it's not too bad. When you get on that west side and it's spinning up this way, you get on that west side, it's just I remember when Nikki Haley was our governor years ago, she said had the best analogy. She said it's literally like a fire hose just going up and down the coast, just drilling you with water. I thought that was because that's basically what happens when it's goes right you or to your west.
If it's not going to be because the winds are worse in the northeast eye wall, right? Because where it turns like this, that's where the winds are the worst. But if it's not a wind event, if it's just sitting off the coast, it's pushing water in and just dumping rain on you all day.
Brutal. So we literally just driving to the airport the other day, coming down the coast, beautiful weather, and then boom.
Here we are. Yeah. By the way, how about that drive from Ventura to LAX? It was gorgeous. I didn't hit traffic till LA, but just that drive, that first half of the drive before you get into LA,
I know.
It is gorgeous on that coast. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. I mean, traffic. Well, this from being in Atlanta. You just have to bake it into your day, right? And so that's
the worst.
By the way, speaking of traffic, while we were in Ventura, got a really nice compliment from Eddie Grindersleeve. So Eddie listens to the show, so that adds one more to the tally of our listeners.
That's got to be like 20 now, right? And that's got to be.
Yeah, I would think we're in the 20s. I think it's safe to say we're in the 20s.
Yeah,
but we forget sometimes. The reason I bring that up is you mentioned driving. We forget sometimes that while we do have a significant number of pros now playing full time, there are still guys who have and girls who have full time jobs.
Yeah,
and Eddie's one of those guys. I mean, he's got a long commute to and from work every day, and still finds time to obviously play at a high level. So Eddie Grindersleeve, shout out, bud. Thanks.
Big shout, Easy Ed. That's my guy. That's one of my original guys. He was one of the first ones to really, when I first got involved again with the ACL, and we were in Texas, and he was a guy that came out, gave his time, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And just, he was a pro's pro way back then. So I've always been a big Eddie Grindersley fan, always.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out and thanks for listening. And thanks to everybody who came up and said they listened to the show. I mean, truly, there are a lot of people who listen to the show, and Eddie's one of those people. He said he likes it when we kind of talk about other sports a little bit. And
I agree.
Bring that in and bring in some of those comparisons. So
some of the stuff that we actually know about. Yeah, some of the stuff we actually know about.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I got my first football game coming up, not this week, coming next week.
Nice, man. I'm so jealous.
I got to start prepping it already. So I figured you'd like that. Oh, second thing I knew you'd like. Your name was brought up yesterday in a very positive way. So I know you were joking because you went all the way out to Spencer's, and you're like, "Why am I here? You are valued. You are valued." And I mean, it was just actually, I got to be careful with this. Let me just say your name came up in the production meeting yesterday and in the conference call in a very positive way. So you are appreciated. People really like. I'm sure
I know what that's about. I'm sure I know what that's about. It's because I get out of their way. In essence, with my voice, I try to stay out of everyone's way. But you do a good job of hyping the crowd though, and getting the people going. And hey, speaking of which, I like doing the open back on the stage again. I thought that was so much better. It's so much better, and it gets the crowd involved early.
Yeah, I like it.
When you guys do it off to the side, we have to turn everything down, right? But then they're not involved, right? So everything comes down, it gets quiet, it gets dull, but then they're not involved at all. So everyone just kind of sits around for a while y'all do the open and all that kind of stuff, and it kills the vibe in the room. It really does. And they took us off the court and put us, back behind the scenes, behind that or in front of the backdrop, because they wanted to give the players more time to warm up and more time to do the player intros. But what I have found is throughout the season, they're killing everything anyway. Right.
They turn the music down and kind of kill it anyway, just to have us, to have it quiet to be able to record that open. So it's kind of. I don't know. I think it adds energy to the room, and I get that something. I can imagine who the players are that have said that they would rather have the time on the court than have to get off for you guys to do that. And then everyone, I bet I know who it is that have made the comment. I mean, I'm sure all of them want more time, but they've got time. They could come in, I would say about 45 minutes till everyone could come in and probably get, thrown against each other, whatever. They could get 5-10 minutes on, and then they're going to get their minutes beforehand, But I get it. I would want to be on those boards the whole time trying to figure out speeds. I'm good either way.
I just think for the vibe in the room,
for
the vibe in the room, it's better for you guys on the court because it gets everybody up, gets you excited. Look, you got to go back, get to your show, do all that stuff anyway. So there is a little lag time there, but at least they're up. Right. They're up, they're ready. So maybe they've got to wait 10, 15 minutes and we do, for introduction, they're ready though, because they've already had that time up and yelling. I think it works so much better on the floor, but
and I think it looks better. I think it looks better as an intro for a viewer too, watching at home, because
as long as there's a crowd,
they get that instant energy. That's the reason we started to move. And it was actually me who brought it up, because that's what we do for other sports. When there's not a crowd, like some of the basketball games that I do, like up at Coastal Carolina, right? I mean, they're really struggling with basketball. So when I'm up there doing a basketball game and it's for TV, there's no sense in doing it open with the seats behind you. Sure. So we would start bringing in a backdrop to do that. So you just don't see a bunch of empty seats behind you. But anyway, but I can see either way. So I never want to get in the player's way. But I think as a viewer, I think it looks better on TV to have that energy right away.
Sure, I agree.
Off the top. So. By the way, if I'm a little bit grumpy today, I'm sorry. So speaking of the hurricane, so Kathy has all these alerts on her phone, right? And which is good, because I guess if the end of the world is coming and missiles are headed our way and planes, I guess that's probably a good thing to know.
But every single alert.
So this morning at like 4:45 or 52, whenever that damn thing made landfall in Florida, by the way, 3 states away, only about what, 300 or 400 miles away.
Right.
This alarm goes off that about gave us a damn heart attack. And I couldn't go back to sleep after that. Do you have these? Like I think I've turned all.
I have my notifications. I have my sound notification off on those. I do get alerts for certain things. But
that's got to be one of the scariest noises I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's that automatic noise. Like you get that automatic noise for Amber Alerts. You know, that's a kind of a loud.
Yeah, I feel like it's even louder than that. I literally thought like missiles had been fired and we were minutes away from impending death.
Yeah. I do what I can to keep those off, because if you have the notifications on, there's always something to be notified about, right? You know what I mean? Like we're always going to get notifications. So I turn most of mine off.
Yes. Yeah. And to me, it's just more fear mongering. I'm so tired of it.
Absolutely.
I'm just so tired of it. It's on every channel. It's on the Weather Channel. It's in the newspaper. For God's sakes, the newspaper yesterday, Kathy's like, well, I guess we shouldn't take the dogs to Sullivan's Island anymore. I'm like, why? Because there were 2 dogs that were attacked by coyotes apparently while we were gone. And then they found this 800-foot alligator in Mississippi. I'm like, why are we reading the newspaper?
Yeah.
Like if it's just
it's easy to take advantage of people's fears. I mean,
it is. That's what I told her. I'm like, you do realize they're making money off you. Like this is all about clicks. It's all about impressions.
There's a certain news network that is there because of fear mongering. But
I feel like we were just talking about Mike Seidel with the Weather Channel.
100%.
100%. I mean, to the Weather Channel, they will never admit this, but this is their Super Bowl. This is where they get all.
I think they do admit it. I think they've been out front and talked about these are the moments. We have these are their moments. These are their moments to shine. And then kind of in May and June in the Midwest, right, with the tornado warnings and all of that sort of thing. I think those are their. I think they're fully. I think they're out in front of that. They're like, look, this is the time when everyone watches us. We know it, so we've got to be on point, which I love, man. I love seeing the look on their face when they're truly a little worried. Like this morning when the storm surge started rolling in one of the buildings, and they were kind of up on the balcony, and it's like, what happens if that does fall?
Yeah, the debris, the flying debris is legit. Yeah,
just the water. Like once you're trapped by water, you're trapped by water. Like there's, you can't just walk out of it if the storm surge is rolling in and the wind. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the power line goes down, you're right next to it and you get shocked. I mean, like you have to, but they've got, that's their production team is just, keeping them out of harm's way, basically.
Yeah.
While putting them there at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yep. The other thing is, as soon as I get off with you, I've got to, I don't know if I should put this up. It might have some sensitive information, but I've got to call and see if I need to report to jury duty tomorrow. So again, welcome back from a hurricane. And can I just get out to California, please? Can somebody send me back to Ventura?
53 years old, have never once received anything for jury duty.
This is only the second time I think I've ever gotten it. And last time, because you need to call in 24 hours beforehand, whether or not you're needed. So the last time I got it, gosh, I don't even think it was. Actually, it was. Yes, it was when I lived. Oh, so this is the 3rd time. So the previous 2 times I've gotten it, I have not gotten called in. So I need to call in as soon as we're done here and see if I'm even needed. So we'll see. But I've never actually served on a jury. So
I think either it would be great if it was a big trial that meant something, but then you're going to be sequestered, and it's going to be that away from everyone for so long. But to just do the tedious jury stuff would be awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I mean, can you imagine, remember we had the whole Murdaugh trial going on down here. Now I'm not in that county. It's the county one away from us. But can you imagine getting summoned and that's the one that you end up on?
Because there'd be family members putting pressure on you everywhere. Oh yeah, that would be What was that, Colleton County? Which county was that?
It was up in Walterboro. I think it is Colleton County. Yeah, I should know this.
Or is that Dorchester? Well, is that Dorchester? I can't remember what the counties are around.
You're saying all the right counties. I just don't know which one. It could be Walterboro County for all I know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh man, you ready? You ready for this show?
I like your swag. So we're both kind of rocking a little bit of Airmail City stuff. It's hard because you got Brat Pack, isn't that it? Yeah, Brat Pack stuff.
I figured since I named them, I should get a T-shirt. right?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think people believe me when I say, I was like, it was on this show.
I know it was.
And it just reminded me so much of that 80s group of kids that just, those actors that were just all hanging out together all the time.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that it's been a week already. Oh, speaking of gear, by the way, shout out to Valerie. I stopped by. Obviously, the sun is just smoking all of us. And I'm like, gosh, I need a hat. And I was actually gonna buy one from Valerie because I just love this logo. I think it's a really cool logo.
Yeah.
And she's like she reminded me that she owed me a hat anyway. So she's like, you know what? I'm gonna get you a hat. So I just love their logo. It's good stuff.
By the way, kudos to me for being proper in how I handled myself in the sun this year out there.
Yeah, you didn't get torched, did you?
I bought sunscreen. I did it this time. There was no, because at my age, what I hate to keep saying, the sun and my skin tone, it's dangerous. It's not it's not fun anymore. It's actually dangerous. I've already had 6 spots taken off and probably need 10 more that are that's dangerous for me now. So and I just moved to the beach, so that's smart. But
well, before it seems like over the last 4, 5, 6 years now, it seems like it's just rained so much in the summertime. But when I first moved to Charleston well over a decade ago now, I remember using sunscreen as basically part of my daily routine.
Absolutely,
it was so sunny. It was
100%.
So sunny. Now it just rains all the time, but it used to be so sunny.
Yeah.
That
in the
before
90s,
I go to work at the College of Charleston downtown, literally I would put it on my hands, arms, and on my face.
Yeah. I got used to smelling like sunscreen and whatever your choice for anti-bug spray would be.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I smelled like, and then you try to smell good with whatever you wear, like cologne or deodorant, whatever. But you would always have that tint of sunscreen and bug repellent.
Right. Yep. Anyway, so wrapping that up. So shout out to Valerie and to Ty Lopez and Shot Kings. Thanks for the hat.
There you go.
Great stuff. Love their merch. Hey, one more. Actually, so many stories from the road. I mean, we could literally kill the whole show talking about from the road. So one of the funniest things, kind of pull back the curtain. So on our first night there, we got a really cool tour of SoFi Stadium. So that was really cool. And then did the soccer game. I
heard you were super sober for that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. So after this day was done, unfortunately you missed the tour because you felt late that day. Yeah, but anyway, it was nice. Stacy treated us to a nice hotel stay up in Santa Monica before we had to go check out Ventura. Really nice hotel. Of course, he got his own room, and you and I, of course, being grown-ass men, share a room.
Yeah.
So I wish, I should have downloaded
the video.
I should have downloaded the video before we came on. So I check into the room first, and I'm like, oh man, this ain't gonna work. And I text you and Stacy right away. I'm like, I don't know about the shower situation. And you both are like, what? And I send the video. It's a see-through shower. On both sides. You stand in that shower, and whether you're laying in bed or you're brushing your teeth, you can see the person who's in the shower. So super sexy if you're married, you got a hot wife. Like if it was me and Kathy and she says, I'm on, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
You got 2 guys in the room?
Yeah.
And one of them's you or me?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that.
No.
So we had a really awesome, sexy, romantic see-through shower that we got to share. That was funny.
I did a lot of wiggling.
You did a lot of what?
Wiggling.
Yeah.
Like in the shower.
I don't want to see it.
To let full disclosure, I did find the switch.
Oh, was it a switch that put that shade down?
Yeah.
Okay. You sure you didn't sync it up just a little bit when I was in there? Just a little bit, take a little peek.
Just a little peek. I acted like I was getting stuff off the floor. Yeah. Oh, I dropped my pencil.
Oh shoot, that's funny. Oh man, but that was classic when I walked in. I'm like, awesome if you're here with your wife. If you're 2 grown-ass men,
not so much.
Oh, hilarious. But no, seeing SoFi Stadium was amazing. They were setting up for Metallica. I mean, it was like setting up a city. That was pretty cool. Soccer game was great. Los Angeles, though, man, I can only take a couple of days there, and it was good to get out and get back up north. It's just absolutely beautiful up at Ventura, and the fairgrounds were just awesome.
Don't you think that MLS They may not do what they need to do ratings-wise on television, but the in-game product as a fan is awesome.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
If you haven't been, go. I don't care if you're a soccer fan. If you're not, just go once. But go if you're near an MLS stadium, go. It's a completely different vibe, and it's a lot of fun.
Especially the standalone stadiums. The one in Kansas City is super nice. The one in LA was beautiful. Really.
Hey, I went to the Atlanta Charlotte game last year. It was, granted, both those cities are in football stadiums, and they use kind of half the stadium. The atmospheres are still great, man. They're still
liked it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love all the people chanting the whole time.
It's a completely European, Latin American vibe. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of coming around on soccer. I really am.
Once I figured the game out, I love it. Once I know what's going on. And I'm telling you, I think I've told you this story before. I used to work at the Charlotte Sports Center. Soccer was our biggest sport. We had huge adult leagues. And I'm watching it, and it was like a cartoon where the light bulb goes off over your head. I got it. Right. I figured it out. Like it was as if it all made sense all of a sudden. And I've been a fan ever since. I watched the Premier League Saturday mornings. I'm in. Yeah. I'm all in on it now. It's crazy.
Yeah, we had a really great time. So. And yes, there was a little bit too much consumed. I'm just not. I
can't hang out with Stacey Moore all day. It's.
I mean, we started out at SoFi, right? As soon as we walk in the lobby at SoFi Stadium, they greet us with a glass of wine, which is so great, right? I mean, it's a really nice touch. So you're walking around on tour with your little tour guide and sipping on some wine. They take you back into the locker rooms, which was great. I mean, it was really cool. And then they end the tour in this owner's suite, and in the owner's suite is a bartender, and so you can have whatever you want there. So we have a couple drinks there, and then we head up to the fancy hotel in Santa Monica, and as we check in, they greet you with a glass of champagne. I'm like, what the heck is going on here, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, there was a pool bar, so we'd have a drink there. And then we get to the soccer stadium. We got a suite there. There's drinks there. And I'm like, what is going on?
Was there a bar out at that pool? I didn't even look.
Was there what?
Was there a bar at that pool? At the hotel?
Yeah.
I didn't even see it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got in at night, so yeah.
Yeah, it was probably, it was it looked like it was one of those ones they roll out. Like it was literally, I think it was like a big rolling bar. So maybe they roll it in at night. But yeah. And anyway, so by the time I got, I think I literally fell asleep with my shoes on, didn't I?
You did. You guys rolled in because I kind of walked around. Yeah, I kind of walked around, got some tacos, kind of hung out there on that strip or that area of Santa Monica for an hour or two before y'all got back. And I just walked in the room and I kind of was laying there in bed watching television. Then you guys come rolling in and you like literally rolled in to the bed and we're out.
So tired. I mean, by that point, I felt like I'd been up for about, actually, I probably, with the time change, I had been up close to 24 hours probably.
Yeah.
Because I flew out early that previous morning. Yeah. That was a wreck. It's fun though. Fun day.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on from that quickly. So let's spend a few minutes talking about Spencer's, and then we got a lot to talk about. We've got some big on, off, and in. And then we'll also have our final power rankings of 2023. So, all right. So Spencer's, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We talked about it in the production meeting yesterday. The new footprint I thought was amazing. By the way, for those of you who listen, and Jade, this is for you, who again, don't follow the sport closely. So Spencer McKenzie's is the largest cornhole tournament in the world, literally. Well over 2,000 players, bands, all kinds of great bands. Ferris wheel. It was a car show this year as well. So it had awesome classic cars and trucks. I mean, it literally thousands of people. It's open to anyone who wants to play. And 1,024 doubles teams, over $300,000 given away. I mean, it's really, really great. And first place gets $40,000 for winning it. So it's in Ventura, California.
Mm-hmm. Outside.
And, outside, yeah. Everything's outside except for the Final Four. But you got to play in the wind. It's right by the beach. But it's on the Ventura County Fairgrounds. A little bit different. They kind of changed the footprint of where they put us on the fairgrounds this year.
All right, let's talk about that.
I actually thought it was great. And I don't mind.
It's always great.
I didn't mind the finals being inside, kind of out of the wind a little bit. I thought that was fine, so you don't get too much of that. It was a little warm in that building, but
I liked. I got to tell you,
what were your thoughts?
I got to tell you, I liked the other setup better.
Wow, you're one of the first people I've heard say that. Why do you say that?
I mean, I talked to a few people. I loved the tournament. The tournament was great. Outside was really not any different. The only thing that was different was inside. I just felt you felt like you were still a part of the tournament where it was last year, at least for us, where we had the final set up in that big tent area that wasn't as windy, but you still had some of the conditions that they've been playing in all day. You felt like you were a part of the tournament. Whereas where we were this time, it felt closed off. It felt like a normal thing for us, right? Does that make sense? Like it's just a normal, like how we always have it kind of venue for us.
I can see that. I see
Spencer's isn't really supposed to be like, in my opinion, just in my opinion. I feel like Spencer should be different from that. We should feel like we're part of that environment because I don't think people, if you're not a huge cornhole fan and you're one of our subscribers or one of our watchers that just kind of likes us, that doesn't know a lot about cornhole, all three of you, it's different in the wind like that. And we're not talking a little wind. You're talking about 15, 20 mile an hour winds all day. And you're talking about bags that float in the air for a pretty good amount of time. So it has a tremendous effect on how players play and who they are and who are the ones that get through. And the fact when you go inside and you and then the boards were different. The boards were super quick outside. And then because of the humidity inside that building, they got super sticky. So it was like you were stepping into a completely different place. Like you weren't even part of Spencer's. And so for that, I kind of liked the way we had it set up before, but I mean, Spencer's and Spencer's, it's awesome.
That's a really good point, Bernie. I actually hadn't thought about that because, yeah, you're right. Where it was last year, just under the tent, and they did put up some sort of a wall.
Yeah. I mean,
it did cut the wind a little bit, but you're right. It felt like we were really there. And I think the biggest point that you probably just brought up was that the event just seemed like all of our other events. Like that was one of the great things this year about Summerfest in Milwaukee. Totally different, unique setup. And it didn't look like just another ACL event. So right. I can see where you're coming from.
Look, I'm pretty sure the production folks with Tupelo Raycom, they would want them all to be exactly the same because then they know exactly how to handle everything. There's no surprises. Yeah, but just from an aesthetics perspective, I liked it last year better. I felt like we were part of Spencer's. Whereas, like I just said, this year I felt like, hey, you go outside, you have fun, walk around, talk to people, you're at Spencer's. But then when it's time for the broadcast, it's like going into any other broadcast for us. So yeah,
I can see that.
I don't know. That was just my thought.
Yeah, I can see that. I did like I don't know, it seemed like it was pretty easy to walk around and find the courts.
Yeah.
And all the merchandise, all the vendors that were there was really great.
Did you see the other stage, by the way? There were two stages for music. Did you see the other one?
I did. Yeah, all the way at the front.
Well, depending on what you call the front, we had our main stage, and
the front for the general public.
Yeah. I never heard a band over there. I heard someone playing music once, but I was like, that was kind of cut off.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was way over on the other side. The only reason I found it is because I had to go pick up passes for a couple of friends. So I had to because we were on one side, right. So I had to walk all the way across and go out the other side to Will Call to get them their passes. And it was by the front.
In no way would I ever want any of this to be construed as me saying something negative about Spencer's because I love that tournament. John's my guy. I love that dude. We were having fun. When they had a Prince cover band one night, not everybody was excited because not everybody I love Prince. So even if they weren't the best cover band of all time, I was all in 100%, man. That was a good time.
Yeah, I'm a huge Prince fan. So is Kathy.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a blast.
Very underrated for those maybe who aren't musicians. A lot of people do know this, but he was an incredible guitar player. He could shred on that thing.
He was a savant. He played 26 instruments.
Yeah,
the dude was an absolute savant. When you talk to musicians, even if they're metal musicians, they'll tell you they love the guy because he's a musician's musician, and what he could do production wise and writing songs and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But my guy.
He was amazing.
And even I guess his somewhat effeminate nature at times turned a lot of people off. But man, the only guy that can dress in ruffled shirts and high heels and still take your girl, you know?
I know, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, he could kill it. Yeah, but going back to what you're saying about so John Kerry and the founder, I was glad that we had 3 separate little video features on him, and I'm so glad that we did that. They were so well done, so well edited. Jack did a great job, and Trey and all the staff behind the scenes putting those together. John's story is just amazing. How literally started that tournament on a street just outside his restaurant, because he owns Spencer McKenzie's restaurant. There's 2 of them he owns, and incredible food, by the way. But yeah, to grow it from literally, I think 10 sets of boards to over 200 sets of boards, over 2,000 people. Not to mention,
what's your favorite sauce?
Incredible.
What's your favorite sauce that they bring?
So what I do is, and I forgot the first day, because this is only the second day that I had, or second year that I'd gone.
Right.
So Jason McCannon last year, I forgot, told me his little concoction that he does. So the first, I always get the fish and shrimp burrito.
Mm-hmm.
So the first day I was there, I couldn't remember what it was that I get. So I tried the different sauces, and then the second day I remember what it was. So I ordered a separate little side of the McKenzie sauce, and I mix it with the Caribbean. What was it? The Caribbean jerk spice, something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that mixing those 2 together. Oh my God, that's my favorite.
I went the other way. I mixed in that sweet chili, which is kind of their famous sauce, and then I throw some of the habanero in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It will. I love it. The funny thing is that stuff kills you on the inside, but I love it. I love every second of it. So I guess I actually read somewhere that if you like super spicy things, you do tend to psychosis. So that makes perfect sense. Right? I mean, I think there's like certain traits that are shared somewhere in the brain. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That's good. Well, we should probably leave time because I feel like we always start too late. So let's because we got a lot to get to still. Let's do on, off, and in. And then let's do our power rankings. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So on.
Let me get my notes.
On, off, and in. For those of you who I met, and Bernie, who you might have met out at Spencer McKenzie's, maybe new to the show. So on, off, and in is a weekly segment that we do. Just 3 things that we've noticed. If we're on, it's on the board, off the board, and in the hole. So something that's on the board means something that we feel like that we've said, that we feel like is correct, trending, possible. Off the board is something that we've said or done, totally missed the mark on. That's always fun, and plenty of those. And then in the hole is something that we've said that we feel like is just truly just dead on right, and money. All right, so you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, on, off, and in. So our ons first.
Okay.
Go for it?
I will. On the board, actually all of mine kind of revolved around the Pro Invitational, which we also had at Spencer's this past weekend, which was the top 8 men, top 8 women. It's kind of a all-star game kind of vibe, if you will.
Yeah.
My on the board was having Tony Smith and Miranda Coy in the finals. I didn't quite pick them to win, but I thought they would get there, and people were like, oh, you really think so? I was like, look, Tony Smith, he's really good. I still think he's missing a little bit of a winning mentality, but still top handful of players on the planet at what he does, right? I think Miranda Coy's figuring things out. Mm-hmm. And I saw it in the women's doubles world championship. Yes, they got blasted. But there was somewhere in there, she found her game against Cheyenne and started kind of putting Cheyenne in difficult positions. And she's starting to learn that she can dictate play. I think she knows it, but she's starting to believe it, that she really is, can truly. Because, look, it's not her fault they lost that championship match.
Hey, 2 years ago, she was the roll queen.
Right. But, she's learning, and I think she's really close to figuring out exactly how good she can be. So I thought because of that, you had her with Tony. They can put people, because they can both play that kind of quote-unquote defensive style really well. I thought they would get there. But that'll lead me to my off the board when we get to it. But I had them in the finals, so that's my on the board.
All right, my on the board. I think I've also talked about this, and really, I could even make it my in the hole because I just feel so good about it. But and so for those of you who have listened to the show before, you've heard me talk about this: taking the game to the people. This is yet another example. I get it. Most of the people there are cornhole people. However, we talked about on the conference call, there were many spectators who came to just enjoy the festival. Who come for the music. They come for the cars. They come for the trucks. They come for the food. Right. And they stumble into this incredible cornhole tournament. And again, I've said it to Stacy. I've said it to everybody. Nobody who comes to one of our events walks away saying, that sucked. I'm never doing that again. Everyone loves it. That's why we all played it at tailgates. That's why we played it at barbecues in our backyard. Everyone loves the game. We've got to take it to the people, and I hope that we do that more. When we take it to the people, we win. Right. We did it at Summerfest. We win. We do it in Ventura, California. I mean the sport. The sport wins. Sure. Yeah. So I loved it. We take the game to the people. It was outside. It was very organic, and what an incredible weekend. And such great people. My gosh, Jamie Graham spent probably 30 minutes talking to my best friends from college. He doesn't have to do that. The access we get to the world's top players is great. And so the sport wins when we take it to the people.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I think it's tough to do it a lot when it's outdoors, because you are talking about professionals playing for money. And I don't know if so many tournaments need to be determined by weather, right? Like,
I've said it before, though, Bernie. I mean, Mall of America. I mean, I feel like there's
100%. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. Universities. I mean, just taking it to the people. Taking it to where we need to go where they are.
Yep, 100%. I agree with you. Yep.
All right. What's your off? I'm looking forward to this.
Off the board. I mean, once again, we're still revolving around the Pro Invitational. I had Jamie Graham and Cheyenne winning it. Wrong.
A lot of people did.
So off the board on that one. And I would, to be honest, before that tournament, I would have bet a pretty good amount of money on it because of how dominant she is in the women's game and how dominant Jamie Graham has played in the last month and a half.
Both world champions.
Right. And so I was like, man, they're gonna roll this thing. I honestly felt that they may not get challenged. Yeah. Way off. Got smoked in the first round, which will lead me to my in the hole here in a little bit. But got smoked in the first round, and it was just I was wrong. Could not have been more wrong.
A lot of people were wrong on that one. And second year in a row, by the way, because last year, remember Mark Richards?
Oh yeah,
who was the world champion, got paired with Cheyenne, and they lost in the first round also.
Everyone knows what a Cheyenne Bubenheim fan I am, right? I think she struggles in those formats. I don't think you get anywhere close to her A game in those formats. I don't think she's a great doubles player. I think she's an amazing singles player. She's the most dominant woman in singles, and it's not even close. Now, she's still a women's doubles world champion, but I just, and she won Spencer's women's doubles with Gina Ramirez. So I mean, she's obviously a great doubles player. I should let me step back from that. But I don't think when you get her in these co-ed
she was a doubles world champion.
Yeah, when you get her in these co-ed type situations, I don't think you get her bet. And maybe it's because it doesn't really matter. But they were playing for a lot of money, a lot of money to win in that Pro Invitational, and to get that was a remarkably substandard match from her, I thought. Mm-hmm. And not to blow her up, but I talk about her in such glowing terms all the time. I felt like it should be said that it's curious that you don't. Last year with Mark, we didn't. Now it was 100 billion degrees when they played, so I think that had something to do with some of the players. But it's interesting that you don't get her best play in those kind of co-ed special formats.
Yeah. My off the board also comes in the prediction category, and my off the board also needs to be an apology. So my off the board when I hosted around the ACL last week, prior to Trey and Anthony made me do a hot take, and so I'm like, you know what? I said I'm tired of not picking these guys anymore. So I said Eddie and Caleb are going to win the whole damn thing at Spencer McKenzie's. I mean, because I didn't pick them in the two nationals, I didn't pick them in the World Championships. You and I joke that we rarely talked about them. As a doubles team on the show this past season, but yet they always won. Right. So I picked them, and I was dead wrong. So not only was I dead wrong and off the board, but Caleb and Eddie, I'm sorry, because I feel like this whole announcer jinx thing is like starting to get in my head.
It's 100% real.
Also an apology to Jay and to Jordan, because Jay came up to me. He's like, dude, I know you didn't pick us. I didn't.
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't pick us.
Look, and you know what's so funny about that? Like, you know, he's kind of playing it off.
I could have picked them because they've been playing so well. I could have easily picked them.
He was kind of playing it off like it was funny and a joke. They were mad.
Yeah.
You can see right under the surface it was real, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
and as soon as they won,
man. Yeah.
As soon as they won, he took 2 fingers and pointed right at me. He's like this. He's like, I got you. I mean,
think about the amount. What they win $90,000 in a month, or what was it? Those two, yeah. Have a look. Let's be honest. They were not playing well first half of the year.
No, they weren't. Nope.
You know, so
and they know it. Yeah. And that's why the rumors started of them not playing together next year. But as long as Jay is happy, I know he's got some personal things going on. He talked about it during the broadcast. I know he's got some personal things going on, but I would hate to see Jay Rubin leave the game or even step back. He's too important. He's too good of a player and too important for the sport right now to leave it. But I get the personal stuff. So anyway, so my off the board, Eddie and Caleb, I picked you guys. You didn't win. I will take the blame. You know, this whole announcer thing that everyone keeps joking about, it's been real. Like, I'm still not going to buy into it because Vin Scully, you know, he's my favorite baseball broadcaster of all time. He passed away several years ago, but a longtime Dodgers announcer. He would always talk about no hitters. He would always he was never afraid to mention the no hitter. He was never afraid to jinx it. And I think Vin Scully to this date has called more no hitters than any broadcaster in the history of broadcasting baseball. So I still don't believe in it. However,
but maybe
there's something to it.
But he's going the other side so strong that it actually works there too, right? He believes in it doesn't have an effect so much that it actually works the other way. All right, my in the hole I cheated on. Okay, I completely cheated on this because my comment about her and Caleb Batson was so wrong that it actually ends up being in the hole. It was so off that it ends up being good. Does that make sense? It was so far removed that it all the way comes back around to almost being in the hole. So I'm using as my in the hole Kimberly Glass, Caleb Batson winning the Pro Invitational. I said on a different show that was one of the teams that I could not see winning of the 8. And there were only 2. And I said they would not win. I gave everybody else a chance. I said they could not have been more wrong. And if we can talk about how Kimberly Glass's airmail was working, especially in some of the in the middle part of that tournament, the middle, there's only 3 games they had to play. But she won them that. Look, when they go up against Devin Harbaugh, Cameron Belvin, she gets back-to-back 5s on Devin Harbaugh.
I know, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy how well she played and how wrong I was. I was so wrong that I was actually right.
You're right. You are cheating, but I do like it. It's funny.
Yeah, that's my in the hole.
All right. I'm going to go easy on this because I realize that I'm tired and I'm a little bit grumpy. So I'm going to go a little bit easy on this.
Here we go.
However,
I know what's coming.
In the hole, the block game, you know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. The block game, dirty game. I really don't want to use those terms anymore as I've talked about it. It's not going to win championships. And Eric Davis, I appreciate watching Eric Davis play. And trust me, this is not a personal comment. Eric is a great kid, right? And he pulls off some shots that no one else in the sport can do. Mm-hmm. That block game and that dirty game is not going to win championships. I mean, it's only going to leave the board a mess, as we saw. It's going to put the crowd to sleep, and it's just going to force people to change the channel. No one wants to see that. In his round, where he had a 7 PPR, he only had 9 bags in the hole. I appreciate a block. I appreciate that defensive game from time to time, but it's not going to win championships. I mean, this whole thing about just, waiting for, just messing up the board and waiting for that opportunity for a bar soap or a penguin or a giraffe or a pony, a turtle, donkey, whatever you want to call all these creative, funky little shots. It's not going to win. It's not going to win.
It gets you to television, though. It gets you to television.
It's going to cost you championships. It's going to cost you sponsorships, and it's going to cost you money in the long run. You have to have offense to win. And I mean, I've got all of these numbers. I mean, Mark Richards, right in a semifinal, hits 24 straight, 26 of 28, they go on to win it, right? In that game where they beat Devin and Ryan Windsor, Ryan had 6 misses. Only 22 of 40 were in the hole. And we're running out of time, so I can't get to all these. But in the final, I mean, look what Jay and Jordan did. They shut out Jamie and Eric Davis. Shut them out. Absolutely ran them over, right? And then in the final, same thing. I mean, Jay and Jordan got off to a 20-0 lead. Jordan had only 1 bag off the board. Mark had only 18 of his 28 bags that were in the hole. So, I mean, 10 were outside the hole. You know, I mean, Mark, and this is something that we can get to another time. I feel like Mark is starting to get outside of what made him a great player. I do not like to see him doing so much of the block and rolling.
It's a coin flip whether he's number 1 or 2 in the world, though. So careful.
Yeah, but I feel like he's going outside of his comfort zone. So I still like to see him put more bags in. Yeah, hard to argue with the fact that he's still a great player, and we'll get to that here in a second. Yeah. So I'm not arguing that he's not a great player. I'm just saying that I don't want him to fall in love with this game, because what made him great was running bags. So
I agree to a point.
My in the hole, offense wins. Offense wins. Offense is sexy. Offense means sponsorships. Offense means viewership. Offense means money, and offense means championships. The defensive game, the block, the dirty game, it ain't going to win championships consistently. Yeah, you're right. Can you win a bracket? Sure, you win a bracket. You're not going to win championships at a high level consistently with that game. And again, that proves it this past weekend.
Okay. I would argue some of it, but I wouldn't argue a lot of it. I would argue some of it, but we're running out of time. We've got less than 3 minutes to do our top 10s.
We'll dive into it more next week. We've got plenty of time next week.
100%.
All right, you ready for our final power rankings? We only got like 3 minutes left. Actually, we got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, let's do it. You want me to do mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start number 10, and I think he played very well the second half of the year. I have Joe Neistat in at number 10.
Okay.
I had him out for a while, but I think he kind of snuck back in there, especially when you look at the rankings. Devin Harbaugh, start the season, I had him number 1. I've got him finishing the season at number 9. All right, number 8 is my slot. If you've been following the show, our rankings, that I go a little outside because of how dominant she's been on the women's side. It's not even really close at this point who the number 1 female is. She finished 21st overall in the rankings. So, by the way, that means Wally won a steak from somebody. I can't remember exactly how that went down. But she finished 21st, but in mine, she's going to be number 8 because she's just so dominant in the women's game. Cheyenne Bubenheim. Number 7, KB, Caleb Batson. Unreal year, especially when you add in how he played in doubles. Just a fantastic talent, fantastic kid. Come a long way, changed himself, changed just everything about the kid. Got to like. Number 6, JBJ, Justin Burton Jr. And at number 6, first half of the year better than the second half, but the first half was so good, you got to leave him in there, right? Number 5.
Ours are so close, by the way.
Fisher Hamilton, number 5. I think for a rookie, I mean, obviously, who knows? Sky's the limit with the talent that the kid has. I mean, just sheer bag talent. You're talking about once again, that's why I've got him in my top 5, a handful of players on the planet that can play with Fisher Hamilton. Number 4, Jamie Graham, a guy that I had out of my top 10 a few times this season. Really at the end of the year, obviously the world championship, but I think got through whatever was going on in his head, whether it was bags, off the court, whatever. When he decides to play and he's focused, he's still Jamie Graham, number 4. Number 3, Tony Smith. That's down a little bit. The guy did win the MVP in the middle of the season when he was running bags more. He was the best player on the planet. I think he kind of fell back into that block first bag kind of game, and it cost him a couple matches late. Now, granted, he was on TV when it happened, but it may have cost him a couple matches late. Number 2, the most quiet number 2 of all time, and he's going to be the most quiet number 2 in my power ranking, Alex Rawls. Alex Rawls is a bag here, a bag there from having an MVP season. Not that far off of it. And number 1, I've got Mark Richards, the most devastatingly efficient player on the planet. Not the most talented, but he is the most devastatingly efficient player, number 1.
Yeah, and we got to roll. I'll give you my power rankings next week. The only one that I've got in there, Gavin Cano. I actually kind of snuck him in there, but I'll give you mine next week. Mine were super close to yours, though. Hey, dude, safe travels. We're thankful for safe travels that we all got back. And what a great event up at Spencer's. And we will see you again and see you all again next week. Bye, everybody.